In my town, you don't look out of your window at night. Hey everyone, it's Em. Please enjoy some creepy stories from the library of Scares Reddit page. I hope you enjoy, and please take a quick second to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Without further ado, let's get into it. Story 1. Ever since I was a toddler, my parents would always tell me, don't look out the window at night. I always asked them why, but they shrugged it off with a smile and a simple because. As I got older, I stopped questioning it and did what they said. I assumed it was normal everywhere else, since every person I knew did the same. When I turned 18, I moved out of town for college. It was during Christmas break of my second year when I found out the reason behind the town's strange tradition. The first night at my parents' house, I remembered them telling me not to look out the window. I gave a smile and a small chuckle before telling them I wouldn't. However, curiosity struck me the moment they left the room. At college, other people looked out their windows at night without a care in the world. I didn't know what the big deal was. As I lay in the dark, I came to a decision. I would look out of the window. It wasn't that big of a deal. Just as my hand came to the sheer white curtain of the guest room, I paused. My mind flashed that one time when I was 12. My parents were talking in the kitchen. I was home with the flu and was about to make my way to the sink for some water, but I stopped at the doorway. I hid behind the wall, peeking my head out from the doorway just an inch. My mother was crying and my father was holding her and rocking. That poor little girl. I feel horrible for her family, whispered my mother. My father just nodded and continued holding her. I went back to my room after that. Several hours later, my dad came up to my room with several 2x4s and boarded up my windows. What are you doing that for, Dad? I asked him. Oh, it's nothing, just safety reasons, he replied. I learned at school the next day that a little girl, a classmate's sister, was found dead the previous morning, the windows broken and curtains torn. My hand drew back from the curtain. I shook my head, cursing myself for being so weird. What was the worst that could happen? It was just a window. Couldn't hurt me. As I reached my hand out again, my instinct was telling, no, shouting at me to stop. My gut twisted as I reached nearer and nearer. Just as I touched the curtain, a painful howl came from the forest surrounding the house. I flinched back, deciding to just lay down and try to get some sleep. Forgot how hard it was to get sleep in my hometown. Every night, coyotes howled for hours, everywhere in town. The next night, I woke up in a cold sweat. I glanced over at the alarm clock next to my bed. It was midnight. I groaned and sat up in bed. A low growling sound from outside of my bedroom window came. I thought back to the last night and decided that I had made up my mind about looking out. I thrusted my arm towards the curtain and pulled back hard, almost ripping it away from the rod. I flattened myself against the wall next to the bed for a moment before I put one eye in front of the window. I immediately regretted my decision as I heard claws clacking up the house. I flung myself out of bed, tumbling on the floor. I stood up and got back on the bed. I stuck my face closer to the window as the clacking got closer and closer. It suddenly stopped for a second before the most horrible creature popped up from outside, emitting a horrible shriek as it did so. I can never forget its face, the way the hollow eyes oozed some kind of black substance, like tar, and the way its lips were pulled back into a gruesome grin, the teeth blood-stained and razor-sharp. It looked like it had 4 limbs, its front 2 slamming on the glass and pounding. As I was frozen in front of the window in terror, my parents burst into the room. My father held a shotgun. He marched up to my bed and yanked me away from the window. He pointed his shotgun at the creature, shooting a bullet at it. The thing scrambled away, leaving the window almost completely shattered. Damn it, son, it was a simple task. Just don't look out the window. How hard is that? My dad shouted at me. I wasn't processing his words. I was sitting on the floor, arms and legs splayed everywhere in utter shock. What the hell had I just seen? My mother ran to the bedroom door. She had tears in her eyes. Is everyone all right? She asked. Yeah, we're fine. We still gotta keep that creepy freaking monster though. Nathan, get up. We got some work to do, my dad said. I got up as soon as I could. My dad thrust the shotgun into my arms and marched downstairs. He opened the basement door and descended, coming back with a machete and some kind of spray bottle. He sprayed the liquid onto the machete before walking to the front door and wait. Dad, what are you doing? I asked, confused. I was just traumatized and now my dad is waiting at the door, machete in hand like he was about to kill someone. Instead of a response, my dad just hushed me. The house was quiet for several seconds before a loud banging and howling came at the front door. We heard a rip and we knew the screen door was no more. The wood of the interior door started to splinter and I took a few steps backward. My dad glared at me. Nathan, now is not the time for this. Point the goddamn gun and get ready to shoot. I aimed the gun at the door, trying to find the spot where the howling was coming from. The door was strong, but it wasn't indestructible. The creature burst through the door and I pulled the trigger in a moment of terrified panic. My dad knelt down and brought his machete down on the abomination's head. The howling ceased and my mom rushed forward with the tarp to cover the spot where the door was destroyed. Honey, are you okay? My mom asked asked for the second time that night. She came up to me and kissed my cheeks as if to make sure I was still there. She went over to my dad and did the same. "We're okay, Martha. Both of you get in the basement. I gotta clean this up." "Basement? Why the basement?" I asked. Everything was going by at the speed of light, and I couldn't help but question everything that was happening at the moment. "Let's just get in the basement. Your father needs to clean up," my mom said, grabbing my arm and pulling me to the basement. We sat on the couch down there for what seemed like hours before my dad came in and put the machete up. He sat on the chair in front of us with an exhausted sigh. The three of us sat in silence for a few minutes. In that time span, my brain was able to come up with a coherent sentence. "Dad, what was that thing?" He just looked up at me, eyes dark, and said, "Where do you think that howling came from?" Story 2. I never should have given them my email. Social media was starting to piss me off. My feed became the same repetition of posts. In hindsight, I should have looked for some new accounts that interested me. But that kind of thinking was nowhere to be found in my head. In my boredom, I decided to go and find something entirely new. I unlocked my phone and started to scroll through the App Store. After 20 minutes of knockoff versions of Instagram and TikTok, I found one that piqued my curiosity. The icon showed a white exclamation mark on a plain black background. The app's name was simply Share, and the description of the app was not any more elaborate. Share who you truly are. A little strange, but I've seen worse. There were no reviews, no previews, no updates. Absolutely nothing. I thought it was kind of suspicious, but I was desperate. I would take anything at that point. I downloaded the app and opened it to the homepage. It was a black background with the white exclamation mark. The setup for an account was easy. You had to come up with a username and password, and you were good to go. Before I could delve into the app and its contents, I caught a glance at the clock. It was 3 in the morning. I sighed to myself and put my phone on my nightstand before burying myself in the blankets on my bed. I could wait until I was finished with class the next day. The next morning, everything was the same. I got up, trudged myself to the kitchen for some breakfast, and went to my desk, plopping in front of the computer 2 minutes before my professor started his lecture on Zoom. 5 hours later, I closed my computer and stretched, making my way to the kitchen for some lunch. While I was fixing up a sandwich, my mind wandered back to that app. I set my sandwich on the couch and went back to pick up my phone from my bedroom. I clicked on Share and started to enjoy my lunch. On the top right corner of a blank screen was a white wheel. Must be the settings, I said to myself. It was mostly basic: blocked accounts, autoplay, help center, etc. My eye landed on the subscribe button. I tapped it and a pop-up appeared, explaining how you can get entered into contests and receive updates on the app. Enter your email. One of the contests mentioned was a prize of $10,000. As a broke college student, I was tempted. $10,000 could help me in so many ways. And even though the chance was slim, it could still happen. It was enough to sway me. I entered my email and started to explore what I could do with the app. On the top left, 3 white bars appeared. It looked to be a kind of menu. I clicked on it and found categories. Categories were only labeled letters, except for the one labeled General. I had no idea what was lurking on this app, so I select General. God, do I wish I had it. The photos and videos were absolutely disgusting. There were dead bodies, some unrecognizable, videos of people torturing others and laughing. There were other things on there, but it was all too horrible to describe. I sprinted to the bathroom to throw up the lunch I just had. As soon as I emerged from the bathroom, tears stinging my eyes from disgust and rage, my phone pinged. It was an email from that damn app. "Hello, username. How are you enjoying sharing? The team hopes you find it to your liking, and we look forward to any post of yours. Have a great day. Sincerely, Share." I couldn't take it anymore. The things I had witnessed were deplorable, and the email was my breaking point. It was so mocking. I was the furthest thing from the sadistic bastards lurking on that app. I opened the app back up, ignoring the screams and closing my eyes. I tapped blindly for the menu and searched for a report button, only to find none. I closed the app for a final time and deleted it, thinking that would be the end of it. I rolled onto the couch, taking a swig of water and beginning to think. It was probably a dark web thing that managed to crawl into the App Store. Or it was a sick prank someone made to traumatize others. A gore site made into an app, maybe? I thought to myself. As I sat my own thoughts, my phone pinged. Again, another email. "Hello, username. How are you enjoying sharing? The team hopes you find it to your liking, and we look forward to any post of yours. Have a great day. Sincerely, Share." My face turned into a sneer of disgust. I examined the email, looking for a way to unsubscribe emails. However, I didn't find anything. I stayed away from my phone for the next few days, only glancing at the notifications. Every day, I'd get several emails from Share. It was the same thing every time, until 3 days after I deleted the app. "Hello, username. The team at Share would like to know why you've deleted our app." Like I expected, the same email was sent over the course of a few days. After 2 days, I gathered the courage to reply. "Hello. The reason I deleted the app was that there were some seriously traumatizing things on the one page I saw. Did you ever remove those videos? If you haven't, please do. They could scar someone." I got an answer several hours later. "Hello, username. We're sorry if you were upset by the videos on our app. We believe you don't understand the purpose of the app. Share who you truly are. Sincerely, Share." I laid in bed that night, my brain mulling over that email. Share who you truly truly are. Were those people sharing who they truly were? The entire app was flooded with people being tortured and dying. It seemed to live up to the purpose, but it was still disgusting. In the morning, I got another email. It was the same as the last one, but a little different. Hello, username. We're sorry if you were upset by the videos on our app. We believe you don't understand the purpose of the app. Share who you truly are. Sincerely, Share. But spelled weird. I chalked it up to a typo and deleted the email, going on through the rest of my day with the app and emails at the back of my mind. I wasn't paranoid yet, just slightly disturbed. Throughout the week, I kept getting emails, all of them with the same content, but getting progressively more distorted. On Tuesday, it went, hello, username. We're sorry if you were upset by the videos on our app. We believe you don't understand the purpose of the app. Share who you truly are. Sincerely, Share, but the A was capitalized. On Wednesday, hello, username. We're sorry if you were upset by the videos on our app. We believe you don't understand the purpose of the app. Share who you truly are. Sincerely, Share. Things changed on Thursday. It wasn't the regular kind of creepy email I usually got. Hello, Anna. We're sorry if you're upset by the videos on our app. We believe you don't understand the purpose of the app. Share who you truly are. Sincerely, Share. I have no idea how they figured out my name. I never included in my username, and my email was some kind of throwaway just for the app. My eyes widened as I read it, my hands shaking. I dropped the phone and slammed the door on my way out of the bedroom, trembling uncontrollably. I was terrified. My phone started blowing up with emails, all of them worse than the last. And every 3 or so, they revealed information I had never given them. My address, my family, what school I went to. I threw my phone out. Paranoia has set in. I'm scared of every single movement. Even as I type this, I flinch at the blow of the vents against my curtains. The emails are starting to be sent to my computer, despite not having the email on it. I've tried reporting the people at Apple, but they said there wasn't an app called Share. I'm sharing this in case someone knows how to help me. Please, if you've been in the same kind of situation, tell me how you've gotten rid of the emails. I can't take it much longer. Story 3. Throughout my life, I have always been fascinated by marine life. When a small team of researchers approached me and asked if I could join them on an expedition, I was ecstatic. That one little question led me to where I am today, typing this out. We prepared our scuba gear and suited up before diving in. We were going to be investigating a river near my hometown. I'd rather not give the name out for privacy reasons, of course. I thought it would be a simple expedition, look around and explore, then discuss what we saw when we got back. Easy, really. We swam so far that I thought the blackness would consume me. While in the murky depths, I took mental notes of the creatures I saw swimming around us. Some of them I had only seen in books or on the internet. As we went deeper, one of my group mates, Lisa, was starting to look suspicious. Hey, Arthur? I could hear through the transceiver. Arthur, the leader of this whole exploration, turned around to face her. Yeah, what is it? Do you think we should be this far down? As she said that, the rest of the group started to really assess their surroundings. I must admit, we had been a little lost in wonder at the sights we'd seen down there. When I looked around, I noticed just how dark it was. We could have been in the midnight zone for all I knew. I could hear Arthur scoff. We're fine, Lisa. There's probably some clouds on the surface blocking the light. That's why it's so dark. I knew Lisa was still skeptical, but she continued on. After even more swimming, we came to some kind of forest. My eyes widened as I surveyed the area. The water must have gotten brighter somehow, since everything was so much clearer. I know you must be thinking of some kind of seaweed forest, but it wasn't. With God as my witness, I swear by what I saw that day. And what I saw were trees. They looked like oak trees, and there were a lot of them. They stretched as far as the eye could see. If you looked a little farther than the first few rows of them, there were creatures beyond them. Arthur got closer, trying to clearly see what the creatures were. I inched forward, too nervous to get right in front of it. The rest of the crew, however, had the opposite idea. Lisa and I were the only ones behind them. It looked too dangerous to explore. As we hung back, I heard something. It was like a kind of song, a barely audible humming. It was coming from somewhere in the expanse of trees ahead. The men were racing towards it. Lisa and I gave each other a look before following. While we knew that the forest was sketchy, we couldn't let the rest of them go in while we stayed behind. We were quickly surrounded by trees. The more we explored, we could see some kind of light in the middle of the forest. The humming was starting to get louder and we swam faster. I turned my head and almost stopped breathing. It was some kind of skeletal creature with a tail. My first thought was, oh my god, it's an honest-to-god mermaid. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized it was much more monstrous. Its top half was completely bones, no flesh at all. I thought its eyes were pale marbles, they were so milky. Its tail was a jet black, blending with the forest. Stringy hair was scarce on the top of its head. It looked at me, then swam off. I looked ahead of me, realizing that I was way behind the rest of the group. Within 10 minutes, we reached the center of the forest. In the middle was a hole with a blinding light. I flinched away from it, Lisa following. The humming began to fill my ears, growing into an ear-splitting shrieking. I looked around. There were more creatures in the trees, hundreds by the looks of it. One right in front of us started to advance. I grabbed Lisa's hand and pulled back. Everything was wrong about the situation. My instincts were screaming, you never should have come here. It's dangerous. But I didn't make any move to escape. More creatures began approaching, but they avoided us. They started to drape themselves themselves around the men. Every one of them seemed to welcome the advances, some even trying to get closer. The shrieking had stopped for only a minute, replaced by the humming from before. Swarms of them were around us, slowly moving forward. Lisa yanked back on my hand, gesturing towards an opening in the creatures. I knew what she was trying to tell me. An escape route. I glanced back towards everyone else, then to Lisa. We couldn't leave them here with these things. She glared and shoved me forwards. Just as I was about to go back and get Arthur, the closest one to me, I heard a horrid scream. It was one of our groups, and I looked back to get a glimpse of what was happening. One of the creatures had curled around him, holding him in place. Its hands had long claws and was starting to flay him alive. The rest of the creatures were doing the same. I couldn't look away from the gruesome attack, but Lisa forced me to move, to get away. After an hour of swimming, having to hear the horrible sounds coming from the transceiver, everything was silent. We were well away from the forest now, starting to see the light on the surface. As I looked down into the blackness below, I saw one of the creatures pop its disgusting head up. It flashed a sharp smile, waving a severed arm at us, one with Arthur's wristwatch. I threw open my mouth a little when I noticed it. I moved even faster than before, desperate to get away from the creatures of the deep. Lisa and I came up just before our oxygen tanks ran out. Both of us hurried to the boat and took off our masks, and she started to cry. We tried to get words out, but they wouldn't come. The horror of the situation had scarred us. It's been 3 weeks since that day. I've stayed away from the river since then, too terrified of what's underneath the surface. Lisa and I haven't spoke to each other since we left the river. The authorities tried to investigate, but the ones who went down to investigate came back and said they couldn't find anything. No lights, no creatures, no forest. I've searched the internet for some kind of answers to what I saw. I've found myself empty-handed. I know no one would ever believe me, but the story has to get out, somehow. I don't want anyone else to end up like my group mates, my friends. Please, if you're reading this, you need to take this seriously. For your own safety, stay away from rivers. They aren't as innocent as they may seem.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.